Good afternoon, guys. Welcome back to the Sullivan family. So, this video, take it back. When I did the shopping on Monday, we all know that the cost of living is just ridiculous at the moment. And when I did my video on Monday, because my shopping came to about £440 this week, and every week it just rises and rises and rises, and I said, I'm not actually sure if I said it in the video. I think I did. That the shopping I buy, a few years ago, I probably could have got for half the amount that it costs now. Which made me think, I'm going to have a look and see how much difference in price there is between, you know, a few years ago and now. And when I started picking out some of the products, there was a big difference. But because it's been added on gradually, you don't necessarily notice. Now, I know that we all know that the prices have gone up, but how often do we actually look at how much they cost, say, pre-pandemic, for instance? Because some of the items that I have bought, I looked maybe a year ago, it's maybe 20p more. 2 years ago, maybe another 20p. 3 years ago. So I looked at pre-pandemic. So I looked at 2019. Obviously, we all know the prices have gone up since like the 80s and the 90s. That's almost kind of irrelevant now because, you know, that's now like 40 years ago. But I'm talking pre-pandemic, so before 2020, so 2019. So I thought I would put together a video. I've kept my receipts from the shopping the other day. And this isn't about, you know, you can get it cheaper at this shop or maybe you should try that shop, because I'm finding that a lot of the shops are overall kind of the same prices. You know, Tesco's have got their Aldi price match, Asda have got their rollback. A lot of the prices are kind of similar in different shops. And I know you can get, you know, things on budget brands and things like that. That's not about, this video is not about that. It's about some of the basic items that we buy on a weekly basis and the difference in price now to what they were pre-pandemic. So I've got my laptop. I'm in my office, obviously, because this is like the quietest place in the house. Sat on Florence's bed. The children have actually just gone to the library with Ben, but the older ones are downstairs playing on the Xbox. So I've come up here because it's quieter. I just thought we would have a look. I'll have a look on the laptop while I'm talking to you about the difference in prices, because some of the things were just like, oh, that's that much extra. But there was one particular thing. Now I'm going on what the internet is telling me as well. So I'm looking it up on Google and I'm going on what Google is telling me. So I'm sure there'll be people who say, oh, that's not right or whatever. I am going purely on what this is telling me and what this is telling me. So let's make a start. Please help us get to our goal of 100,000 subscribers. Please subscribe. You won't regret it. And hit the bell for notifications so you don't ever miss a video or an upload. Thank you. Okay, we'll start with beef mince. So I buy the 5% fat, 750 grams beef mince. This one, you can't see, can you? This one. So it is $6.99 now. Now I've said in a few videos that it was like $4.99 not that long ago. A year ago it was probably $4.99. And then about 6 months ago, maybe it went up to $5.99. It's now $6.99. So I buy two normally. So that's 1.5 kilograms. So that's $13.98. So £14 for 1.5 kilograms. So I looked up the price on Google, AI search, and it says in 2019, the average price of 750 grams of beef mince varied depending on the retailer and specific product. One source lists a 750 gram pack of beef mince from Tesco's at £3.79. Now, it doesn't actually list whether or not that was the 5% fat, because obviously some of the higher fat content ones can be cheaper than the lower fat. So it doesn't actually list that, but I've actually just found another one when I've looked up the exact fat percentage, and it does say Tesco's lean beef mince in 2019, 750 grams, 5% fat was £4.29, and 15% fat was £3.70. So the one that I'm buying from Tesco's in 2019 was £4.29. £4.29, and it is now £6.99 per 750 grams. So obviously per kilo, what does that work out? So it works out at £5.72 in 2019 for a kilo of mince, and it now works out at, divided by 750 times by, it now works out at £9.32 per kilo. So £9.32 per kilo now. £9.32 per kilo. And what did I say? Just work it out again. I think it was £5.72, wasn't it? Yeah, £5.72. So that is an extra £3.60 per kilogram in the space of 5 years. Yeah, so it's gone from £5.72 per kilo to £9.32 per kilo. Over a third more expensive. Yeah, over a third more expensive. So that's just one item. So, oh, where's my Tesco receipt? I thought we'd also have a look at bread. Bread's another staple. So we buy, and I know, like I said before, you know, you can get cheaper ones, you can get own brand, you can get lots of different breads, but I'm specifically doing the things that we tend to buy, the brands that we tend to buy, or the own brand or whatever that we tend to buy every week. So we tend to have Hovis bread, which is, so Hovis soft white medium sliced bread, 800 grams. That one, can't see it very well, can you? £1.39 a loaf in Tesco. I'm not actually sure how much it is. I think my children are out, so that's not my children, it's fine. I had a thought then. I was like, has somebody left somebody behind? But they haven't, it's not nice. So yeah, I'm going to look up how much it was in 2019. Okay, so it says here, in 2019, a large Hovis loaf could be found for as low as 75p as a price, part of a price war amongst retailers. So I think it was Sainsbury's that reduced the price of an 800 gram Hovis soft white and wholemeal loaves to 75p. But it was roughly, the average price was about £1. According to the Office of National Statistics, it was around about £1, £1.07. But yeah, you could get a loaf of Hovis for as low as 75p. So that's, again, that's gone from 75p or £1 to £1.39. So if you took the lowest price, which was 75p, that's actually, it's an extra 64 pence, maximum of an extra 64 pence, or 40p if you were getting it from, and it was about £1, wasn't it, back in 2019. So that is anywhere from half as much more, half to a third, again, as much more than it was in 2019. Okay, next on the list I'm going to do is milk. Now I know what people are going to say. We have posh milk. So we have filtered milk, which at the moment, Cravendale is actually on 2 for £4 at Tesco. But it is actually, if you just buy one on its own, it's £2.75 for a 2 litre thing of carton of milk. I know you can get cheaper milk. I know non-filtered milk is cheaper, but I don't like non-filtered milk. I'm very funny about milk, and it's just that's what I mean about this video. It's not about, you know, you could get cheaper or what. This is purely about the products that we buy that have gone up in price, because it will be the same across the board. So all the things that are cheaper will have been even cheaper in 2019. And I know prices will rise over the years and stuff like that, but the point of this video is just to show how much they have risen in a relatively short space of time. I mean, you do expect prices to go up, like I just said earlier, from the 80s and 90s. That's like 40 years ago. You expect the prices to be more now, but the cost of living has gone up so rapidly, and other things aren't reflecting. You know, people's wages haven't gone up. But yet the energy costs have gone up ridiculous. The fuel costs, it's not, none of it is in line, and people are struggling. You know, our main outgoing is food, is shopping. And yes, you know, we try our best to shop about and get the cheaper deals and all those sorts of things. But at the end of the day, you know, we also want to be able to have the things that we like. And it's almost like nowadays you're not allowed to have the things that you like because you should be buying cheaper because it's cheaper. And people don't like talking about it. People don't like talking about the increase in prices and stuff, because people always say, well, you could get that cheaper over there, or you could buy that cheaper. But the fact of the matter is, you know, why should we not be allowed to buy the things that, you know, we like the taste of? Or, you know, people are just trying to make meals out of the cheapest things they can find. It's almost like, if you can't keep up with the cost of living and you don't have enough money to keep up with the cost of living, then you shouldn't be allowed to eat nice things or have nice things. And that's, you know, most people nowadays are literally working to put food on the table. For a lot of people, savings have gone out the windows, holidays have gone out the window, all of those sorts of things, because just getting by month to month, you know, paying for food, paying for fuel, paying for kids clubs, all of those sorts of things. People pay for childcare. Obviously we don't pay for childcare, thankfully, because we're able to be at home and work from home. But, you know, all of those other things have gone up, and in turn small businesses have to put their prices up, you know. So the cost of a day out and things like that is so much more expensive because their costs have gone up so much as well. So it's just a knock-on effect. But anyway, I looked up Cravendale, and it says in 2019 a 2 litre bottle of Cravendale milk typically cost around £1.75. So Cravendale £1.75, can't spell. It's now £2.75, so that's an increase of £1. Obviously Tesco's have got it on a deal, so I can get it for 2 for £4, so it's not too much of an increase, but the potential is there for it to be a whole extra £1 per litre, per 2 litres, sorry. It's like 50p a litre. So yeah, that's another item. What was another one I was going to look at? I was going to look at, these are the things that we kind of, you know, bread, milk, meat, cheese. Let's have a look at cheese, because we get through cheese like there's no tomorrow. And we don't buy expensive cheese. We do buy, if I can find the cheese on here, we buy the Tesco's own. Hold on, let me just find it. So we buy, it's actually Creamfields, which is like Tesco brand, isn't it? The budget brand. So it's the Creamfields mild coloured cheddar. We get like orange cheddar up here. I don't know if you can get it in England. I don't remember ever seeing it in England, but it's just like a mild cheddar. So it's a 900 grams and it's £4.99 for the cheese. So let me have a look and see how much that was. Okay, so some of the prices are quite difficult to find. And like I said, this is I'm just going on by what it says on the internet. Some of the reports vary. But I found, it was quite difficult to find, I found a report that said the Creamfield cheese, the 400 grams was £1.79, which works out at the 900 gram one would have been about £4, and it's £4.99 now. So that's gone up by £1, which I suppose in the grand scheme, I've lost my pen, grand scheme of things is not as much as some of the other stuff. Obviously it could be, you know, like other cheeses, Cathedral City, all those sorts of ones, they might be more money. We just buy the bog standard cheap cheese, we call it, because we like it and because we use a lot of cheese. So yeah, by that it's probably about £1 extra. I don't know, it's kind of like everything is out of sync, so you don't know, is that good, is that bad? In 5 years, an extra £1 on something, things are going to go up, but that's, the rate of inflation obviously has gone up a lot. Yeah, it's difficult to know. We take things as normal now, don't we? We take things as, you know, if it's only a couple of pence, then that's good. But really, it's not when you're adding it up and up and up all the time. See, supermarkets put a couple of pence here and a couple of pence there in the hope that you won't notice. But it adds up over time. It really adds up. And, you know, if you put £1 on every single thing that you buy, your shopping has doubled in no time at all. So let's have a look at, that's Asda. We'll have a look at ham as well. So we buy Tesco's ham, just standard smoked. Do we buy smoked or honey roast? Honey roast ham. Ham. Tesco's wafer thin honey roast ham slices, 400 grams. Now that is £2.35 for that. Let's have a look at how much it was. Okay, it's actually saying wherever I look that it's the same price, that it was £2.35 in 2019 and it's still £2.35 now. So I'm not entirely sure. Wherever I look on the internet, it does say that it's the same price. So there are some things that might not have gone up in price, but it's also said that about a lot of other products, and that's not been true. So this is where you can't always rely on the internet and AI. But maybe that's one of the things that hasn't gone up. But I can't find any other information about that particular product. I'll tell you what, let's do fruit. I don't know whether what the difference in price in fruit is, but this is Tesco's red and Tesco's green seedless grapes. Now, they're much of a muchness between Asda and Tesco. They're £1.90 at the moment. In Tesco, I think they're roughly, sometimes they have them on special offer, don't they? Like 2 for £3 and stuff like that. But they're £1.90 in Tesco at the moment. Also, we vary where we get our fruit because sometimes it's not very good quality and sometimes one of the supermarkets doesn't have it. So anyway, let me look this one up. Okay, so like I said, that actually looks like that's not gone up. They look like they're about the same sort of price as they were. But I don't know when fruit did go up, but it's kind of stayed stable, but it makes it look cheaper because everything else is so much more expensive. Something else that we buy every week. Oh, I know. I was going to look at some toiletries as well, because obviously we get through a lot of toiletries. The shampoo that we buy is only £1. Don't think that's changed in price. Let's have a look at toothpaste, because we all know that I like my Oral-B toothpaste. So we use the Oral-B Professional Protection toothpaste. I have very sensitive teeth, and there's not many toothpastes I can use, so we use this one. Now it's £6.70. I didn't pay £6.70 for it because it was on offer for Let me see that. For £3.50, I wouldn't pay £6.70 for it. I always try and buy it if it's on offer. Also, I found in Home Bargains, they've quite often got a double pack of the small ones for £4.99. Again, all much of a muchness when you buy them. I mean, that's a big one for £3.50. So let me have a look and see how much it was before. Okay, so it says, again, it's very difficult. And whenever you look things up, it says, oh, it's difficult to determine this. You'd think that somewhere there would be like a list, and some places have a list, but some of them don't. Anyway, it says most standard Oral-B toothpaste, Slight Pro Expert, were likely priced between £2 and £5 for a 100ml tube in 2019. So that's a 125ml tube, and yes, I did get it for £3.50, but it would have been, well, £6.70 they've got it up for. So if you paid the full price, that's like, could be up to double what it was before. Which is quite a lot of money. So that's kind of a lot of the stuff. Oh, I know one thing else I wanted to look at was the price of Gaviscon, because I paid £14 for a 500ml bottle of Gaviscon on Monday. It's not something we use a lot of, but so I found when looking up prices of things is Tesco's are very, very clever at not having like readily available what the price of things were. Quite often when you look things up on the internet, even AI will bring up today's price and say that that's how much it was in 2019, when it wasn't. We all know it wasn't. We know that it was much cheaper. And whereas some things like ham and maybe they haven't gone up in prices, there are certain things that we know have gone up in price. But Tesco especially, it's very difficult to find out these sorts of prices. Hang on just 2 seconds. I found for Gaviscon, the 500ml, I found it was for sale in Asda for £6.18. But that was for only 300 mils. So if we do that and then times that by 500. Oh, no. Hang on. So £6.18 divided by 300 times by 500 equals, which would have made it £10 for a bottle, which is probably about right. I do remember it being, I used to have Gaviscon a lot when I was pregnant, but then I ended up getting on prescription because I got really bad heartburn. I don't really use it that much now, but that's probably about right. So it would have been about £10 in 2019, and now it's £14. So that's like an extra £4 a bottle, 500ml bottle for Gaviscon. And, you know, like I said, you could get the cheaper ones. I think the smaller ones are now, they either were £7 or they're now £7. No, they're not £7, because I would have bought that because it's cheaper. Anyway, I'm talking about the bigger bowls. So that's like an extra £4. So again, that's like a third on top of a third on top of what it was in 2019. Crisps are another thing. Now I know you can buy, again, own brand crisps, cheap crisps, whatever, but crisps lately, so Asda used to have a lot of deals on crisps. We tend to buy our crisps in Asda. They used to have a lot of deals on crisps. It's actually quite difficult to see. My receipt's gone a bit. So they do quite good deals on their big multi-packs. So they're big multi-packs of like French fries squares. They're normally around about £3, which when you consider a 6-pack is now £2. Is it £2.70 something for their 6-pack? Let me just have a look on Asda. How much is a, say, 6-pack of squares from Asda? Okay, so they're £1.74 at the moment, which I wonder if they're on rollback. They might be on rollback. Yeah, they are on rollback because they went up to £2.13. You used to be able to get 2 packs of 6 for £3 on deal, and then it went up to like £3.50 on deal. And lately they've been selling the packs for £2.13. I think they might have gone up to £2.30 at one point. They are £1.74 now because they're on rollback. How much was a 6-pack of squares as 2019? It's just, they make it so difficult to find out. So yeah, they see, again, it says they were £2.15 when they weren't. We know that. 2019, a 6-pack of Walker Squares crisps at Asda typically cost £2, although a promotion for 2 for £3.25 was also advertised. I think that was later than 2019. I'm sure that was more like after the pandemic than before. Okay, so we tend to buy the 6-pack of Heinz baked beans, which I swear last week had gone down to £4.70 something, because I remember saying, oh look, they're much cheaper. But anyway, this week they were £5.24 again for a 6-pack of beans. I know you can get cheaper beans. Let's not have the beans argument again. I like Heinz baked beans. We've had this argument before. Anyway, it says here that it's limited in the search results. See if it just says across the board how much it was, not just in one particular supermarket. A Heinz 6-pack of beans for some sources indicate a price of £3.99 for the best price for Heinz baked beans in 2019, and they're £5.24 now. So they've gone from £3.99 to £5.24, which is an increase of, what should I say, beans have gone from £3.99 to £5.24, which is an extra £1.25. So again, it's like a third again, isn't it? So that's for beans. So what else should we look at? Because a lot of the stuff that we buy is like, I mean, we buy loads of stuff. Butter, that's a good one, isn't it? So Flora butter, we buy loads of stuff, and it's just, it might not seem like a lot of money to some people, and people might say, oh, that's not very much to add that on. But when you add that on to every single product that you buy, and the fact that, wages haven't gone up in alignment, it is a lot of money. So Flora buttery is the one we buy. It's normally £4.60. I do tend to try and buy it when it's on special offer, so it's £2.95. But so let's have a look at Flora. It is thinking. So this is what you get when you look anything up. It's difficult to determine the exact price of Flora buttery. But it says here, it says here exactly the price that it is today, which we know is not true, because we all know, like, Lurpak has gone up. We all know the price of butter has gone up a lot, but they all say that they don't have specific data from 2019. Now, somewhere there must be specific data. I'd probably have to look deeper, maybe, and look at maybe the Office of National Statistics. They have quite good, I wonder if that's something that you can just look up. Okay, so just found a report that said you could get 500 grams of Flora buttery in 2019 for £1, and 2 for £1.50. So it is £4.60 for a kilogram. So by rights that should be £2. So it's £4.60. Although I got it for £2.95 on Club Card price, but that's like double the price. Which we are kind of all already know. We know that things have gone up in price, but sometimes when you look back at how much it did cost, and it's not, like I said, it's not that easy to find out the information. I did actually think beforehand that it was going to be easier to find out how much things were, because the few things that I looked up was quite simple. But they don't like to give this information out. So, okay, toilet roll. I mean, that's a weird one, because we buy the You know, people, you can get it cheaper. It's going to bring up all sorts of prices, isn't it? Price in 2019. Yeah, it's going to bring up all sorts of prices. So we buy the Little Duck one now, which they've just changed. There's an 11.4% in 2019 on toilet roll. Obviously, after the pandemic or during the pandemic, things went up. That's kind of my point, is that before the pandemic, the prices of things were as they were. And then during the pandemic, prices went up for things that we couldn't get hold of, like toilet roll. I mean, it says here, an overview of toilet roll prices in 2019 based on the available information. Toilet paper prices were already on the rise in 2019, even before the significant increases in later years. Some sources indicate that the average price per pack had increased by 11.4% in 2019. However, compared to the sharp increases experienced between 2019 and 2024, where prices increased by an average of 20%. That would be like 30% in total up. And then obviously the shrinkflation as well, which is where the prices go up, but the amount you get goes down. Yeah, it is important to note that the COVID-19 pandemic and subsequent supply chain disruptions had a dramatic impact on toilet paper availability and prices after 2019. So again, that's something that's gone up dramatically. And that was the kind of the point of this video, was how did the pandemic, how much has it influenced and changed the prices of things that we now have? How much has it impacted on our cost of living? I mean, the government like to blame the pandemic for everything, but, you know, how are the prices so much more money? You know, is it the supermarkets profiteering? Is it the government? You know, it's not a pretty picture anymore, and people are struggling more and more and more all the time. And the prices of things, I kind of feel that it went a bit steady towards the end of last year, the beginning of this year. I remember saying in some of my videos, it seems to have plateaued a little bit. But in the last few weeks, I've seen, again, significant rises in things, really noticed. And I tend to keep an eye on things every week on week, you know, how much is that and how much is that and where can I get that cheaper, which is kind of one of the reasons that I do my videos, so I can tell you guys, you know, where you can get that. And it's not necessarily to tell you where you can get the cheapest of the things, because like I said, I don't always buy the cheapest of the things. For us, it's not just about the cost, it's about getting the things that we like for the cheapest prices that we can, because there's certain brands and things that we like, and tastes and things like that. You know, it's about getting those things and the things that we use for the cheapest prices that we can, which is why I shop around at different supermarkets and things like that. But it's, you know, the prices are just shooting up all the time. And there are some things that you can still get, and when you can get things for Clubcard prices and Asda rollback and things like that, you're like, oh yeah, that's brilliant. But the actual price of things, if you were to pay, it's just ridiculous. And I do really feel, I mean, what I was hoping to be able to do with this video was to find a definite price from 2019 and a definite price from now, and give you like 5 items that we buy and how much it would have cost then and how much it would have cost now. But it's very difficult to find. I mean, just going on those, say if we went on mince bread, Cravendale, cheese and beans, let me just quickly add this up. So if we went on what we bought then, so it would have been £4.29 for mince. It would have been £1 for bread, sorry. It would have been £1.75 for milk. It would have been £4 for cheese, and say it would have been £3.99 for beans. So it would have been £15 for those items, £15 3 pence. If I was to buy them now, it would cost me £6.99 for mince, £1.39 for bread, £2.75 for cream and out. Obviously, I'm not going on like offers and stuff that we can get. I'm purely going on the actual prices of these things. And £5.24. And now it would cost me £21.36 for those items. So that is a difference just for those items. It's a difference of £6. Which, if you think that's just 5 items, and I've probably got, I don't know, 200 on my receipts. An average shop, probably you buy 100 items, even just for a family of 4, once you include all of the things. So if you think just for 5 items, and that's just one of each of the things as well, so that's just one thing of milk, 1 loaf of bread, 1 thing of did I say mince? Milk, 1 thing of cheese, and 1 6-pack of beans. That's an extra £6. So that's like a third on top of what it was, and that's just for one of those items. You might get 2 mince, 3 loaves of bread, you know, 2 litres of milk. We do, obviously. You know, a couple of packs of cheese. A couple of packs of cheese is now a tenner. You get the drift. So my bill now this week was £440. If you're going on the fact that it's probably, I mean, I said up to half, I'd say it's at least a third more expensive, between a third and a half more expensive. So even if you're just going on a third, that's £146 less. So that shop that I did this week would have cost me £294. And it was a particularly big shop. So that on average, if you're going by, it's a third more expensive now than it was in 2019. That would have cost me £294. And now it's costing me £460. So if we normally spend £400, so that would be 400 minus 133. So my normal weekly shop would have been, like I said, it would have been about 267, so 250, and now it's £400. And that's just purely, not because we buy any different things, that's purely on the increase of the stuff that we buy on every single item. So like I said, there might not be huge increases on every single item. Some items might not have gone up at all, but the increases that has pushed our shopping. So say you were a family of 4 and you spent, or however many, you say you spent £150 per week on shopping in 2019. That shop now would cost you £200. Is that right? Yeah, if it was a third extra, that would now be costing you £200. That's, you know, if your shopping was £100 a week, that's now going to be costing you £130 a week. If your shop was £250, you know, and that's just by adding a third. It could be that it's gone up by half, anywhere between a third and a half extra, I reckon. So if you're shopping, and the more you buy, obviously it's all relevant, so the more you buy, the more expensive it is. So say your shop was £250, that's now going to be so 250, that's now going to be £330. So the bigger the increase, the bigger, you know, the more your shop, the bigger the amount. So yeah, our shop would have been about £250, £260 5 years ago, and now we're up to £400, £440, and not because we buy anything different, just because of the price increases on all the stuff. Okay, I had to pop out and pick Olivia up from work. I'm back and I've gained a cat. I mean, I pretty much kind of finished, I was going to kind of write everything down before I did this vlog and come at you with lots of magical numbers, but I thought, you know what, no, I'll look it up while we're going through it, because then you can see what I see, kind of, although you can't see because it's on there, but you know what I mean. And in actual fact, it's not as easy as a task as I thought it was going to be, because it's not that readily available, the information. But one of the other things, obviously it's not just food prices, it's fuel, it's energy. So I had to look at fuel prices from 2019 to now, and we have actually gone down in fuel. So diesel prices in 2019 were around 131. Obviously it depends on where you live in the country, garage to garage different. 2020 they decreased to £1.19. This is diesel, not petrol. Diesel decreased to £1.19, probably because nobody was going anywhere. 2021 diesel was 134. 2022 diesel went up to £1.77, so massive increase in 2022. 2023 it went down to 17. Oh no, it was the same again, 177. 2024 it doesn't actually say the price, it just said there was a significant drop, but now we're back at about 138 per litre. So that, you know, it did go up massively in like 2022, 2023, and that has since gone down, which does make a difference. Obviously it's still more than it was 10 years ago, much more. Also energy prices, I'll have a look. Energy prices 2019 to 2025. I mean, it's not actually going to give you I just know that the standing charges and units rates and all that sort of stuff right now are ridiculously astronomical. Yeah, it's not going to give you the energy cap, price cap came in like 2022. I think maybe I'll have to do a separate vlog on that, because I really need to have a look into energy, daily standing charges, unit rates, all that sort of thing, because that's makes a massive difference as well. But yeah, so as far as my little experiment on finding out prices of things, it wasn't quite as easy as I thought it was going to be, because by the looks of it, the shops the supermarkets especially are not as easy, the information is not as easily given away as you'd think. Now, like I said, maybe if I went on to the Office of National Statistics to find out each and every single price, I'm just going to see the price, one price of one last thing, which is the washing tablets that I use. No, it's a bit vague, to be honest. It says bold all-in-one pods, 33 washes, Spring Awakening, £6.74, discounted from £7.58. I mean, I just paid £10.48 for, I think, about the same amount of tabs in Asda, and they were on special offer. So again, that's another thing that's probably gone up by a third. So I think, as much as I haven't been able to get, I'm a little bit annoyed because I haven't been able to get like exact prices of what it was and what it is now, and I like things to be exact. I like to work it out exactly, and that was what I was hoping to be able to do. Maybe with a little bit more research into it. If I write down all the prices, maybe next time I go shopping, I'll pick a certain amount of things, like 10 items, and research exactly how much they cost before, and have a bit more of a deep dive, see if I can find out some more information on like the Office of National Statistics. I think there's trolley.com and some other websites as well, and see if I can find out the exact amount of that basket of shopping then and what it is now. But yeah, I think what we can gather is it's gone up by at least a third, a half a third to a half every single week, which over a year for us, I don't even want to work it out, to be honest. I don't even want to work it out. So if I spend £400 a week, I don't even want to work it out. 52, it's £20,000 on shopping a year. Oh my life, that's a lot of money. That's like a ridiculous amount of money. And it would have been, say it was £250 a week times 52. It would have been £13,000 a month. A year on shopping. So say you spent £150 a week on shopping, you are looking at £7,800 a year. And had your bill been obviously £100 a week, you would have been £5,000 or £5,200. So it's an extra £2,600. So for an average family who used to spend £100 a week on shopping, their bill would have increased to £150 a week on shopping. So like I said, it's gone from being £5,200 a year on shopping to £7,800 a year on shopping, which is an increase of £2,600 a year, purely because of the increase in prices. I don't want to go back to working out hours because I think I might go and sit in a corner and cry somewhere. But anyway, I hope this vlog has kind of been a little bit enlightening. It doesn't really solve any problems, but just really to let other people know that it's not just you. You haven't gone mad. You're not suddenly buying much more expensive shopping. The prices have gone up ridiculous amounts, because sometimes I go shopping and I think, how can I possibly have spent that much money? And it didn't cost that much last week. Have I bought extra things? What have I bought? And I go home thinking, I must have bought more things. I must have, I must be spending more money. But in actual fact, yes, you are spending more money, but it's not because you're buying extra things. It's because the prices of things have gone up so much. So anyway, I will do more vlogs like this, I think. I'm intrigued now. I'm interested to find out, and I'm interested to dive a little bit deeper and find out a bit more. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this vlog, guys. Don't forget to drop us a like and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. All the links to everything we do are in the video description below, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.